Hello, GM. I'm BorrowLucid, and thank you so much for joining. Hi, Giogo. Yeah, there's friends in here. Thank you. I actually put makeup on and earrings, so I'm going to be on the internet. Okay, so let's see. Let's share my screen. Yeah, I do need glasses to see the screen. Right here. Wait. Yeah, I think we can do this. Okay. Okay. You guys see my screen? Okay. I will take that as a yes. Okay. So what I want to do is make sure everybody can get some money. And the process to get DAO grants is really like a pain in the ass. So let's go through how to get some money. Okay. So you got to start with hunting the grant programs. They're all over the place. There's not a one-stop spot where you have a list. People have tried to keep that list, but the rounds keep changing, and literally from one round to the next round within the same organization, the parameters and everything changes from season to season. So you have to actually stay up on top of newsletters is probably the easiest, because then because people do actually want applications. So if you subscribe to newsletters, you'll get at least the top level of communications. If you stay up to date on the forums, then you can see what discussions are around the ecosystem development that they're doing. So you can kind of sort of prepare and try and be ready when the next grant round comes. Obviously, social media, and the easiest is if you have a friend that's like, hey, your project would be really great for this grant round, come apply. That's the easiest. But it's a fuck ton of work to apply for these rounds. So don't just apply to all of them. Be discerning, because you're actually doing due diligence on the organization just as much as they are doing it on you. Because sometimes when you apply to a certain ecosystem, they want you to be really close pals, and maybe you don't want to do that. And then so this list is just, we'll get into details later. When you apply, so you've picked out whichever grant that you want to work on or apply for, and then you need to actually go through the process of applying. So first you start with writing it, and you try and find a template, and you can look at previous grant proposals that have passed and have not passed. Some Charmverse will actually have a form that you have to fill out, and as much as everyone loves Charmverse, it's a pain in the ass, because you have to actually if you want to create a template and write it someplace else, it's like Notion, so you have to copy and paste everything in each little box. But just know that that's out there. Other organizations will actually have a template that you can just copy and paste, and then you can fill it out and just put in a forum post, which is the easiest way. I would try and start early so that you can draft it and then get feedback from your team, oh, are we missing anything? If you can go to community calls or sign up for office hours, definitely do that. Get as much feedback from the organization you're applying to as possible, and then iterate on your proposal until you get it to a place that you feel confident. Like everybody tends to, I heard a ding. Let me just check real quick. Someone's trying to get in. Oh yeah. Sorry, just letting people in here. Okay. Okay, so you want to get the proposal to a place that you feel confident with, and go ahead and like take to the last minute. I know everybody in the I've run rounds before, and like the sooner people get it in, the easier it is for me to like process it. But also like you just know that the last like the 11th hour of the last day, everyone's going to be submitting, and that's just the way it is. And then when you submit, it's many different platforms. So you need to check, it might be on Charmverse, it might be on like Discourse, it might be on Snapshot, it might be in the Discord. And then you need to make sure you have the timeline, because if you're literally like 1 minute late, some of them are like on chain. And so that's it. It's a contract on chain and you can't, immutable. Some of them aren't so much, but they're still strict. And then just try and be like, just keep an open communication with like anyone involved. If you're not quite sure, like ask a question, and also like try and really pay attention, like set alerts on to the channels that might be like pinging you. I know I have like alerts off on like everything, but when I'm applying for a grant, like I'll turn alerts on for the entire Discord, just so like I'm like, what, because there have been times where like I apply to a grant round and then the parameters of the grant round change mid-round. And so you got to like fumble and figure out and readjust, and then you don't have to usually reapply on that, but you have to like fiddle and fine tune. Okay. Now, this is the biggest part. I'm trying to go really fast through this so that if anyone has any projects, we can actually like find grants for you. Okay, so you have to campaign. You can't, if you submit and you do nothing, is very, 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 very unlikely that your proposal will pass. Unless you have a pal inside who's championing it for you. So you need to figure out, what kind of grant round it is. If it's a quadratic funding round, you have to get as many individuals supporting you as possible. If it's a token round, then you need to make friends with whales. Sorry, sweetie, I'm doing a presentation. That was Phoenix. And then if it's delegates, like if people have tokens and they delegate to a certain amount of delegates, then ideally you've already made relationships with delegates and they've given you feedback on your proposal before you even submit it. So it's like each round is different. Each, who is the actual person that decides yes or no on your proposal if you get the grant? What does that person or people, what do they actually want to see and what do they not want to see? And then also make sure you don't get disqualified, because I remember, I want to say it was Retro PGF for OP, where they were like, if you contact delegates or badge holders, like you're disqualified. I forget. I think it might have been that, but there's like some where if you actually like DM them, they will, sorry, my foot's falling asleep. They will disqualify you. And that's a super bummer because you went through all this work, and some rounds you can campaign and some rounds you can't campaign, and some rounds you campaign one way and some rounds you campaign another way. So it's hard to keep track of. And so it's possible to get disqualified. And this is the last bit. You probably won't get the grant the first time you apply. It definitely requires social vetting. It's just easier to get a grant if the decision makers already know you and your project. It's easier to get a grant if you have, impact metrics, like proof of what you've been doing, which is like, I'm learning how, actually Plora is teaching me how to like document what I'm doing, like the agile way, because, it's been working for developers. They can go on GitHub and show like, this is what I've been doing and this is why. And for those of us that don't write code, we can still use those learnings or those techniques or whatever practices. Just we're not going to be showing code. We're going to be showing, whatever we're working on. Like Diogo's doing cooperative agriculture is so cool. Like how can you show the metrics of the impact that you're making? And then if other people can attest, if you find ways, especially if it's, there are ways to do it on chain, but I don't think you even need to, as long as there's ways that you can show that someone else is attesting to your impact. And then there's marketing, and everybody thinks it's a dirty word, but if nobody knows you exist, then nobody knows to go and use your cool stuff. The other thing is like, it's super discouraging when you're applying and you're applying and you're applying and you're getting rejected, and then you look at the list and it's like the same people are getting grants from all these organizations, and it's like, how do you even compete? But I think, I don't know this, but I hope that these organizations actually do want to give money to more projects than just like the same people over and over again. It's also discouraging when you see like, something that came out of like the Ethereum Foundation or came out of, Protocol Labs, and like they have all these resources. So of course they're going to look super cool. And then, I think of like Upe, and they're hacking like for real. And, luckily Van has good, marketing sense. So she's able to communicate more, but it's like, it's hard. You're competing against some big time projects that have, I can go on. I'll go continue. Just don't get discouraged. Like we're feeling, like I'm feeling it, you're feeling it, we're all feeling it. And then this is what I'll give you right now. I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen, and then I'm gonna share this HackMD in the chat. Okay. Okay, so let's see who's here. Oh, I want to give you all a hug. Thank you. Okay, so if you look at this HackMD, I have put together just like a bunch of stuff in here of what you can do to try and get a grant. But really what I would like, there's some template examples in there. There's some links to some forums, and like Chambers has a list of all their, I'm squinting because I can't read. Chambers has a list of their a bunch of grant rounds on their platform, because a bunch of grants orgs are moving to Chambers. Nouns is not on Chambers. They have their own platform. But I guess we can answer questions, but what I'd really like to do is if anyone has a project, I'm going to turn my screen off. If anyone has a project that they want to try and find grants for, let's do that. Real mamas? Yeah, let's do it. Do you mind unmuting, Joyce? Actually, I'm going to turn the Joyce. GM, do you mind if we stream this, or should we like stop the stream now? I think maybe we'll stop the stream now.
It's fine with me either way. I'm not like on or something. So hello everyone, I'm Joyce. Nice to meet you.
I'm just gonna, we can keep it recorded, but I think I'm gonna stop the stream so that we can like find stuff. Okay. Okay, Real Mamas is, I just joined like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So do you want to?
Yeah. So I think about like 2 years ago, me and this other woman in Web3, we both had daughters, and so they were very young, and we no longer wanted to go out very late to parties. And so we're like, okay, let's find all the moms so we can just, wake up early, get coffee, and go to bed early. And that's kind of how it started. So now we have about like 80 moms from all over the world who are in crypto, all in this Telegram chat. And we've also kind of like informally met up at various events as like our own mamas like lunch and things like that. And my thinking is that I think being a mom should be like a key line item on your resume instead of something really weird that you don't know like what to say about when you talk to other people in the context of a professional setting. So I would love to like formalize, have like a home for us so that we can, describe to ourselves like who we are and try to like advocate for ourselves and have like a platform to do that. Like I think in the near term, it's really not that groundbreaking. Like, we need a website. Yeah, there is the Parents DAO too. It's called Mad DAO. But I would love for like the moms to have a website, like something that they can reference, right? Like somewhere where we can share what we're doing, a place where people can find us, right? So it's really like setting up a website, maybe getting a designer to help put it together. But all these things obviously have like, it's minimal cost, but there is a cost, right, to host it and all that. So something to kind of get that started where we can start referencing ourselves as like an organization would be super helpful.
So I would think that we need to start with crowdfunding first. Because a lot of the we could like partner, like there could be something with like Boys Club or FWB or even like, go to someone like Uniswap and say like, we're gonna do this but it needs to be very like for Uniswap if we're gonna do it for them, or like if it's for Base, it's very, very much for Base. Like it has to demonstrate that it's improving their ecosystem. So it might be easier to start with crowdfunding on for quadratic funding rounds. And once you get a little bit of money, you can start showing like the impact metrics and the attestations and the website and stuff like that. And once we have that, then we can apply to the bigger ones. We could set up a Gitcoin project and a Giveth project right off
Is that live right now? I think I saw someone else post their project, but I couldn't figure out if it was over to submit like a new project.
Yeah, we probably can't fit into the current grant, like the current QF round that they're going, but anyone can use Gitcoin to set up a round. And I think Giveth is not as like permissionless as Gitcoin is, but Giveth does have like rounds also. But once you have the project up on the platform, you can say, put it in that round or put it in this round. So we can, yeah. So if we go to, let's see, we go to the Explorer. So here's the Explorer. I'll put it in the chat here. So here's the Gitcoin Explorer. And then we can build a project. So I can't remember.
You can build one anytime, right? And then later you decide whether you want to participate in the particular. Okay, I see.
And then once the project is up, anyone can like it doesn't have to actually be in a round to accept donations.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's more like Gitcoin is more like a platform. Same with Giveth. And so if there's rounds, like if there was a woman, like if SheFi did a round, we could submit to that.
Okay, I connected my wallet. Let's see.
I'm trying to remember, how do you, oh, maybe it's, okay, that's to explore manager, maybe.
Yeah, so I was here and then I couldn't figure out how to like basically create a profile for something.
Okay. I used to use the manager. Okay, this one we need to, so here's the manager. This is how you start, but it looks like it's getting an update. Okay, I'm gonna log in and see. Okay, here's a create a program. There's gotta be view all programs.
Well, a program is, I think, the other side of it, right?
Yeah. So if I created a program, that would be like me. I've collected money and I'm ready to distribute it. So that would be a program. Which once like Real Mamas like gets some attention, we could potentially do that, like distribute money to the community, to people what they're working on. But right now I'm trying to find, this is literally like this is literally what I do to find grants, is like what we're doing right now. Like I know there was a link around here somewhere. There's,
yeah, I couldn't find where to create a project. That was what I was having trouble with.
yeah.
It's in the builder, right?
In which one? In the manager?
Builder.
Oh, it's in the builder. That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
And you have to write it on maybe hack MD to write the project. Yeah, that's what it's there. And feel free to share the screen tomorrow, so Joyce, you can see, and everybody.
Good idea. Yeah. Okay.
This is truly such a part of the process, though, too. It's just like scouring for the right link. It's never easy.
This is, I know, right? Okay.
So the builder at .coin.co, is that what you were saying?
Yeah. So here is the link right here.
That is so hidden. You think they have it right there.
Yeah. And none of this stuff is, thank you, Diogo. Diogo's actually, like, if you follow Agroforest DAO, he's got he's like up to date on these kinds of things. Because unfortunately, like Agroforest DAO and like Coconut are like doing really important stuff, but there's like nobody that funds it.
Yeah, can't
Well, what
complain.
is it?
I'm very grateful to the Web3 community.
So yeah, so you just click on new project. You have to pick a chain. Why would you have to pick a chain?
Yeah, why is that a thing?
Diogo?
Yeah. It's because depends on the round that's coming. You know, the round you chose. You have several articles, you know, so you have to choose one
They're
you're
making-
writing.
Okay, so you have to, like, when Arbitrum is running around, you have to say you're on Arbitrum. When, you know, whoever, you know, when Optimism's running around, you have to, lately it's been Arbitrum on Gitcoin though, hasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
And an important thing to note, just real quick, is that if you have a multi-sig, or sorry, if you have a DAO that is on, you know, was created on Optimism, for example, and you put that in as the receipt address for an Arbitrum grant. I mean, for like a grant on the Arbitrum chain or any other chain, it will not. It will just, the money will just get lost. I mean,
Yeah.
most likely they just won't send it to you, but they'll ask for a different address. But you basically need to create different safes for each chain, which actually Van just had a really cool, just did a really cool solution for that, and just for one of our DAOs, just did just like made a safe for each chain to receive. But it's just
So when so in this builder thing, are you supposed to create a project on each of the networks? The same project on each network then?
It's more just that you need a receiving address for each network. So that sometimes people just use a hot wallet that's just one, you know, and it could just be a pass-through wallet. But if you want to be, you know, proper about it, then like a multi-signature safe to receive it on each chain is a sort of like more procedural way to do it. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So if you check the rounds that are happening now, in the first page, Bitcoin page, Bitcoin .co, you know, you can see the rounds, you can see the chains. There is one, for example, real world users on Celo. So if you want to apply for that, you have to create a project on Celo. And there's the made solutions round on Arbitrum. Then you have to create a project on Arbitrum. It can be the same project. You have to build it on
I see.
And the important thing is to write in the Markdown tool like HackMD. And then there are some tricks to put pictures in it. You know, there's website that helps to get the right Markdown command for pictures, because it's not really easy to do it. The Bitcoin builder doesn't recognize the Markdown pictures format, so you gotta find it somewhere else. I'll share the link.
So it sounds like you have to basically begin the analyses by just like what rounds exist. I remember like a long time ago, it was more like a project base. You kind of start with all the projects that want funding, and then people go like find them. But now it seems a little bit reversed.
It's because you get matching if you're in a round. So yeah, so people can donate, like, you know, if everyone here gave you $1, the matching would do the quadratic math and then give you a portion of what they're giving out. So people could give you $10 and you end up getting, you know, 500.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't have the website and you don't have the metrics and stuff, I think crowdfunding is easiest to get started.
Yeah, part of what I was thinking is, I don't know if you like saw the shirt. I was thinking like maybe I can make a different shirt and it'll be purely for like to raise funds for like just this initial thing. I just haven't gone around to doing it yet because mom.
Yes. The other thing you could do, we can always do like Juiceboxer, or like Yeeter.
Mhm.
And that's like literally like a one-time crowd. Like we're gonna crowdfund right now. At Smold. Yeah, it's like, okay, we're gonna like for the holidays, we can see like, okay, we're gonna crowdfund for DevCon or something like that. And then you launch a crowdfund. And those I think are easier because for these it takes a lot of work because you have to do all the marketing, but it's easier to like get people's attention for one thing instead of like, okay, this is like chugging along, you know, because then we can see like, oh, this was fun, and then we're gonna do this other thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. I mean, even finding this builder.gitcoin was really helpful because I did not know that.
Yeah, we should do a Giveth also.
So should I just do Ethereum? That seems like the most logical to me, but maybe that is a strategic mistake. What do you guys think?
It's probably too much gas. It's probably going to be prohibitive because it'll be a significant cost of gas to donate.
So the other ones that I have personally used is, well, I guess it's Polygon, ZK Sync, Base, I guess technically Arbitrum. I feel like Base seems like my gut feeling. I don't know. What are you guys seeing out there?
Base has that corporate money.
I do have that beef with Base right now.
So Base doesn't give out like grants. They might, I don't know. They don't usually. And when they tried to last year, they ended up like changing the whole thing mid-round. It was like you had all these NFTs that could vote, and then they changed it to only like 4 NFTs that could vote. So I think I'm guessing it was like a legal thing where they wanted, yeah. No, I think also it was being attacked. But this is the Giveth link to create a project on Giveth. And I think once there's a project on Gitcoin and there's a project on Giveth, then you have like already everything outlined. We can also make a project on Gap. This is probably down the road. And the nice thing about this is you can say, okay, this is what it's pretty much like a profile with your impact metrics and some attestation so people can review your project on this platform. And I'm guessing, I don't know, does it integrate with Charmverse? You can at least link to it in Charmverse.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in this question of you mentioned t-shirts. I'm interested in this question of like of bringing in revenue. It's sort of bridging for, you know, it's kind of asking for support in the form of, and very similar to a grant. you know, because it's just sort of selling a token of, no pun intended, a token of your support, you know. I wonder, BorrowLucid, have you seen anybody playing with like NFT fundraisers? You know, like I know that you've been exploring all sorts. I mean, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
You explore everything, but I wonder if you've
Well,
seen that.
I was trying out a zine, right? But the
Right.
Zora update broke my experiment. But anyway, what I was trying to do is I printed out a whole bunch of zines, but I only had a small amount of NFTs. And I minted a third to myself, a third to people who have minted my mirror blogs before, and then a third of them I sold. And then the idea was that I could they were only like 0.001 ETH each. So it was like really cheap the first sale. And then because I had a third, I could participate in the secondary market. And so I could potentially, if I keep giving out these really cheap, like, you know, like I don't have one right here, but they're like small, just like 3 pieces of paper, like folded in half, you know, stapled. Then maybe there'd be demand because there'd be so many physical copies and not very many digital collectibles. So that's why I was doing this over during base camp. I gave out like 50 of them. But Zora won't let you anymore do that. And OpenSea is OpenSea.
Because it seems like you know, at some point, I mean, unfortunately, we're at the whims of like investment capital here, and at some point, we're just sort of recycling through the same capital through through each other's grants over and over again. But I like the one thing that we all have in common is, you know, the cliche, we're so early, and you can imagine a time where even, you know, where tokens of any sort of successful project may have future value just because early contributors, like even on like a decade scale, like this kind of work is going to be seen as legendary, you know. But you know what I mean, like the future oncome that we all are very confident, the future crowding in of like you know, much more of the population that we're all confident in a way has this value of just like all these assets, you know, potentially raising. And so it seems like a way to fundraise against the future, because that way the person who's supporting you isn't just handing over money, but is buying an asset that can appreciate.
That's
sorry, I
like
said that in a roundabout way, but
like the Raid Brood, I think they did a yeeter. And then you got beer. I shared, let's see, NFT treasure?
Yeah, so I don't know, just when you were talking about that excellent, kind of made me think of NF Treasure. It's a project that I've helped a little bit with, like some community engagement growth stuff, but it's interesting what they're building. They're making like merchandise, like Web3 enabled merchandise, so it has scannable tech in it, so it links the physical piece of clothing with the NFT that's issued on chain. And then there's a marketplace. So kind of think of it like old school Web2 t-shirt graphic tee businesses, where you can like design your own graphic tee and upload it to the website, and then the manufacturing is all done, you know, for you. You don't have to actually work on distribution or anything. It just gives you a platform to sell merchandise that you can, you know, monetize, and it could be used for fundraising.
So one thing that I found that was hard is, like, if you don't know exactly how many you are going to sell, you kind of need to do it like one at a time. And there are like companies that do like basically print on demand, but that gets actually pretty expensive. You really have to like order a decent amount in order to get decent pricing. Like it's a little bit hard to be like, oh, this t-shirt is $30 in the US, right? We're just kind of high, and then like their shipping cost. So yeah, and then also like some of these services don't help you ship, which is another issue. Like if they have to ship everything to you and then you have to deal with it, like that may not be actually feasible.
Yeah, totally. This is kind of like along the lines of trying to solve those problems, I think, is kind of their mission statement. So their pitch is merchandising with a DeFi twist. So the cost is associated with the on-chain NFT, and then you can like further monetize that with like different community engagement interactions that add value to owning that NFT. So that gives you like users a little bit more incentive, or consumers a more incentive to buy the merchandise, because owning that merchandise gives them access to some sort of, you know, on-chain thing. I'm not necessarily saying this is a good fit for you, but I thought Exuent might be interested, because he was asking about, you know, how do we use NFTs from the merchandising kind of concept, and this kind of merges the two. But it's a bit of a stretch maybe for where you're looking at, but they do manage all the shipping, and it's kind of like print on demand kind of thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of goes full circle back to the grant thing, because it's like, I've often thought so much of our economy is based on, I don't know, people call it different things. So you could call it sign value. It's like, you know, if you start a business selling fucking like Nirvana t-shirts, like get that license, and that, like, you know, your boomer dad is going to say that you're how much of a hard worker you are and how much you're contributing to the economy, you know. But if you're building technology or contributing to this pro-social stuff, it's kind of like, oh well, you're just in the nonprofit world, so you're not really doing, like, it's just extra, right? And so I recall this person was running a prison, like, you know, trying to reduce prison relapse basically, and figured out that like selling himself as a nonprofit, it just wasn't working at all. So what he figured out was, I'm going to do a projection. I'm going to collect all this data and do a projection of how much it costs the state to pay for prisoners that do relapse, and then I'm going to pose it to them as I'm selling this to you. I'm selling this service to you of preventing prison relapse for 30 cents on the dollar. So you're making a huge profit, right? And all of a sudden they're not looked at as a nonprofit; they're looked at as a business, and it works a lot better. So I wonder about what that looks like in the space. You could see it kind of mapping on fairly well to the protocol-based sort of public goods concepts that are in fashion right now. But I wonder what who is the body, who is the public that you'd be selling that proposition to, if you're talking about general public goods done with crypto that aren't sort of proper to any specific chain or brand. Kind of an open question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think about these things too, like little perks, right? Like you're fundraising for something. Obviously, too, I've been thinking about Party DAO. I really want to play with Party DAO. But like if like that's, I think, what was it, Metafactory, like the DAO just used to decide which projects that which like merch they would make. I don't know what they're doing now. Let me see if I can find Metafactory. But CrowdMuse, that one's cool because the artist, they have the chips, and then like the artist gets more. Actually, OP is on here. That's interesting. Okay. Did you guys look at the CrowdMuse link? They were at also FWB Fest last year. I'm looking for Meta Factory. I don't know if there's anything happening there anymore. But like token gating with merch, I think is a cool idea where like if like let's say Ethereal Forest, like I've been talking about Ethereal Forest doing a zine. I think it would be really cool if Ethereal Forest blog became a zine. And anyone who minted the mirror blog gets like first access to like a nice print, and then everyone else can get like the cheap free print or something like that. Or maybe you can say like, if I minted a mirror blog, then I have first access to like the collector NFT, and then everyone else can buy just a regular zine, or maybe there's first access to a hoodie or something. I don't know, socks or whatever people are doing lately. I know. Ethereal Forest should make a poncho. I need a poncho so I can go hang out in Portland. So we need an Ethereal Forest poncho.
I mean, well, you'll have to join Ethereal Forest if we're going to do that, because we have to embed your idea. So
You have a better idea?
no, I said, well, if we're embedding your idea like that, then I think you'll have to join.
I'm not already joined.
I think you're pretty much there.
I'm just fangirl. Does anyone else have a project you want to like find grants for? Does anyone have a proposal you want to workshop?
Yeah, I have a proposal of a podcast, multi-language podcast for public goods content.
Mm.
So we can go beyond English, out
That's
of this bubble. So much good stuff there. I'm here with everybody, and you can see people very aware. They really full of information and all. And then I go out and in my town and in Brazil and talk to people. And it's like zero knowledge of anything, and not even books on commons or from nothing translated. So talk about the next billion, how we will onboard the next billion. And they think it's an app, it's some technical thing that they need to do, but I think it's more spreading the word. It's like it's more giving context. Why do public goods? I was talking about this with folks in the space today. We're here because of purpose. We feel good doing this, and if only people could understand this purpose, it's something that we also had to dig, to study, to get there, to understand this purpose. And the technical problems, they are the least of the problem. It's so easy, everybody went through that. We remember 12 words, yeah, no problem. But if you want to, you'll be able to go through that. But if you don't understand, don't have a purpose, you're not gonna learn a new app, So we are trying to put together this together with the Mexican Humberto from Urbanica and Soto from Artist. Trying to put together a YouTube channel or podcast channel. Subscribe to an AI and start getting some of the podcasts that are already there. and talks from from the last year's general forum. The talk from Jeff Emmett and many others. I'm listening to them. And it's so good. Time to put some audio out there, in different languages. The tech is here now. It's easy to do. That's what we're crowdfunding and fundraising for. We were not accepted in the Open Civic now, unfortunately. So we have to be creative now to make it happen. But we will.
Yoko, did you see Yellow Collective?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at this now. Thanks.
Yeah. We can, if you want, we can look at your proposal too right now. Who are you applying for? Right now? Do you know?
Well, we applied to the Open Civics grounds, but there was too many projects and we didn't get in. And I just learned about this other one called Presenti. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's on Stellar. And yeah, and they have three types of grants. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Like one grant is 1,000 for ideas. Just give us first push. 2,000 USD. It's the micro pool, and then there's the pilot pool. If a project is a bit ahead, 10,000 USD. And the growth pool for mature seller projects, 25,000 USD. What about trying the cheapest one, micro pool, get this channel started, and maybe after look for the larger side one. Yeah. And the last deadline is end of August. So, fast.
Did you also look at if it's free and open, like it has to be like very, very like open source, public good for public nouns to apply for that one. But if it's going towards education,
Yeah. Do you know any platform for podcasts that is Web3 native, open source, and that is available, people can find on Spotify or something?
yeah, it's hard because the Web3 version makes discoverability very challenging. So a lot of people will use like Unlonely or Abura and then also have it on YouTube.
Well, what was those ones again, please?
Yeah, let me get you the link for. There's Abura. Let me see. So here's I don't know if they have a website. Let's see. They have to have a website. Here's their I actually have a Abura account if you ever want to like try it out with me before you sign up. Here's their Warpcast channel. And then Unlonely. Uses LivePeer. But also creative TV.
Wow. So many resources. Thank you.
It's like, so creative TV isn't quite ready yet. I don't think. Oh yes, I heard that. Yeah. Bar House. Yeah. Yeah, I heard that about Unlonely too, which is disappointing.
A Bora is like a Twitter space on Farcaster,
Yeah.
and you can record and then post on. Good. Yeah, we thought about creating content, like bringing content from Portuguese to English, you know. So like in my case, I do Central Africa agroforestry and people don't know much about it. And I like to have this role of education also to the Web3 community, to the tech world. And it would be nice to bring some podcasts and some shorts on this subject to English. Got it.
Well, there's also Rodeo. If you want like a TikTok.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but it's good to know.
I also think just using TikTok might be good too. Then you'll reach more people.
That's fun.
I'm looking at the proposal. Who are you submitting this proposal to?
It was to the Open Civics rounds.
Okay. Yeah.
Now we're going to present it. If we can find a way to do something in the cell blockchain, you know, somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw Cello doing more DevRel stuff, but I don't know how if they're doing like more community and communication stuff. That would be nice.
Yeah. Not easy to find, and oh, you know, the idea itself that we're trying to maybe start the months even without funds, just to figure out the goals. Might do that by the end of the year. Yes.
Do you want to look for another? Do you want to look at maybe trying for a yellow collective?
Yeah, it'd be nice. I gotta check that. Didn't check that link yet.
Yeah, I think they're it's a nouns DAO. And yeah, and they want to fund. Okay, actually rather, Mikhail, I was gonna go to that after this too. Thank you.
I'll share the notes for what you missed. Take care, folks.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so Diogo, let me know if you want help with the yellow collective stuff. I think if you go in the Warpcast channel and see what they've been funding and talking about, you can design your proposal around that.
Yeah, makes sense. I will do that.
Yeah.
I'll let you know once you got interested.
Yeah, well, because I would be happy to help amplify if you're casting about it in the yellow channel.
Cool.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a project they want to find money for? All right.
What is yellow?
Oh, Exunt, the nouns ecosystem is growing and growing and growing. And I know it's not quite literally Moloch, but the dream lives on there. They have Purple DAO, which is to fund development for Farcaster and to, keep Farcaster going. They have Builder DAO, which maintains the nouns build code, and they also do some community stewardship because they warned Family DAO when we were being attacked. And then Yellow is a new one where they're actually trying to give money to like creators and more creative stuff. But let me see. Did you see the link in there?
Yeah, I mean, I can find it.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, not to. I'll let you go to the Kamala for Harris call, but see, sorry, where's the link? It is.
I just put it at the bottom there for you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, I maybe just like in just really briefly, I wonder if you have any thoughts on Open Protocol Research Group, because we're kind of doing we're kind of doing we're doing research, interviews that are approaching that will be useful for empirical data. But we're also doing sort of more creative stuff, and then the sort of like practical concepts. I don't even know if that is almost like a mix between like design, philosophy, and then like creative nonfiction, or like essay type form. So I do wonder, yeah, I wonder if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the nouns ecosystem, and I think you could potentially reach out and maybe not Toady Hawk is actually pretty cool. Nounish Professor, I love her so much, and they actually wanted fund experiments. So if you ask them how do I fine tune, how do I design my proposal so you like it, so the community likes it, they'll probably give you feedback in Warpcast. And if you put noggles on it, I think
God.
I know, just embrace the noggles.
Embrace the noggles. Is Yellow Collective, does that also require, because what you have me thinking is that we should sort of we should turn our writing so far into sort of a beautiful publication, and not frame it, but I mean, it is a creative enterprise, and so if there's an ecosystem that's supporting creators like Yellow Collective, then maybe that's the place to go.
Have you looked at the park?
The park. Yeah, I swear to God, I just have to applaud you for just aggressively knowing everything that's going on in the space.
Okay, so the park is Fridays at the Park. They're mostly musicians, but they got a grant or two from Nouns. So now it like jump started them. Now they have their own audience. They do like they were at FWB Fest. They were at FarCon. They probably were at ETH Denver, and they get like a whole room. They get like a whole room at FWB Fest to literally like jam. And then they were up on stage during FWB Fest also. And I'm pretty sure they like, you know, a big part of that is like their Nouns grant. So this is their channel on Farcaster that I would follow, and just to see like they've got it down, like how to like build a community using on-chain tools like minting, right, collecting, and then they also I mean, if you ever come down here, we can try and actually hang out at the studio.
Yeah, sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But so I mean, so in the case of just like the one specific thing, in the case of, for example, Yellow Collective, I mean, they want their creators to put noggles on their on their stuff, or is there? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Ultimately, Nouns continues if they keep having auctions. If nobody is auctioning and purchasing the NFT, then Nouns will just keep depleting the treasury. So while yes, they want to fund cool experiments, and yes, they're like one of the only DAOs that are like willing to try things and not like make you have to do a whole bunch of milestones before they just like give you the money and they say go. Once you get their approval, they're like, go do it. You're awesome, you know, but you need to be able to show that you're going to also help bring up the NFT auction price.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's like the opposite of what Metacartel did, right? Metacartel and Moloch DAO were like, we're going to give away a bunch of money. We want to fund a lot of cool experiments, but they never thought about how they were going to keep building the treasury again. Nouns actually solved that by having this auction, and part of why they fund things is because you're going to actually raise the auction price. So if you create this really cool, these interviews, and people care about these interviews, and you show that you're part of the Nouns ecosystem, then people will be like, oh shit, I love this. I want to be part of Nouns too. And then they're going to go auction bid on an NFT.
They should throw you a noun, or they should throw you some cash just for like putting it that way, because that's very generous read of the situation.
Well, this is what it doesn't matter what ecosystem you're in. It's just Nouns is more accessible, right? Like if I was in DeFi, I would be going over to Uniswap and I'd be like I am going to proliferate your meme, right? There's going to be fucking unicorns all over my shit, and people are going to be excited about it, and then they're going to want to use Uniswap. I would do the same thing for that ecosystem. It doesn't matter what ecosystem you're in. It's just Nouns is more accessible because it's like it actually is NFT votes on chain compared to like Arbitrum, which is like technically a DAO, but like if you want to get anything done, you have to go through Off-Chain Labs or Arbitrum like Foundation or something. So, or like Octant they're trying, but they're still giving money to the same old things, and like there's a lot of limitations on what they will fund. But Nouns is the most, I guess, Wild West.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I've been thinking about I've been trying to play with this idea of like whatever, it's abstract, but like it was sort of addressed in my talk about like affect, or like what I call the virtual, right? and like intersubjective potential. And I kind of had this moment that kind of bummed me out, but kind of was interesting too, which was to realize that like these mimetic communities are just trafficking and like intersubjective vibes, essentially. Like that's what they are.
To sell NFTs.
Yeah, because the NFTs are pure sign value, and sign value is something that cannot be, like your neighborhood, like the whatever the utility value of your home is like negligible at this point in most places compared to the like how cool your neighborhood is.
Yeah.
And like we're moving towards an economy that is the sort of quantitative stuff is increasingly sort of taken care of, and the qualitative stuff is really where the center of gravity is. And that that in itself I think is a threat to the to these it's a threat to the legacy system because it's they've been able to sort of like hide that reality and sort of say like, well, if you want to be cool, like you have to buy a fucking BMW. But eventually people are going to realize that that everybody has this sort of community power to generate their own like qualitative value or their own sort of intersubjective affect. And I think that's sort of so I like the way I like the way you say that that like when searching for funding, you kind of have to like sign on to like be a part of somebody's tribe and contribute economically to their vibes. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's the first part. Like when you're hunting for grants, you're doing due diligence to see who you're willing to like hang out with for a while.
Yeah, that puts new light on your thing about you're sizing them up just as much as they're sizing you up, doesn't it?
It's so much work to apply for a grant, and then the new thing now is everybody wants these metrics and these milestones, and so you're stuck with them until like months. You have to like, you literally can only get a little bit of funding along the way as you prove that you've done this stuff. So you're going to be hanging out with, it's not like they're going to just give you a pile of money and you can go and work, besides nouns. Most of these grants, Optimism, Arbitrum, like Octant, all of them require these milestones. And so now you're hanging out with them every few months. You have to check in and say, this is what I've been doing, like, here's my spreadsheets, here's my attestations, like, I made my bed. Like, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's just so much work to get money from these ecosystem grants that you should definitely be discerning of who you hang out with.
I'm now energized to go have a tequila and give a look at the tribal landscape.
Yeah, I love it. This is what I do all day. I'm watching what people are like, where the energy is, what the attention is going to, like who is actually treating their community kindly, who is like taking advantage. Is that Lenara from Dada?
Yeah, that's me. Hey.
Oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally your fangirl. You know that though.
I'm actually here more like to, I'm also part of Stateless DAO. And we actually stopped applying, let's say, for Gitcoin because it just became too bureaucratic. And I'm really debating if we should, well, I guess we have to do something by tomorrow, like apply to Octant, because it also seems like so much effort. And so much like really huge projects getting a lot of the funding, and then we we have kind of the same requirements as you were talking about, all the proofs and milestones and everything, but we got like I don't know, like $50 in the Gitcoin round. Like, what are we gonna say we did with that money? It's not really enough for anything. So yeah, I'm really like debating if it's worth it or not to go through all the hoops.
Yeah. I haven't been for Chones. I haven't been applying for as many grants either. Just because I'm trying to figure out how to demonstrate that, how do I show metrics that they'll actually accept?
Evening, everybody. Well, thank you for the presentation and all the links and all the conversation. I will get in touch with you again and schedule a time for us to brainstorm and maybe after the round. And yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. And whatever I can help, I'm here.
Thank you, Diogo. Yeah, Lenora, we can, if you want, you and I can try and look for grants for stateless. I can't remember exactly all the details of what you guys are working on.
So it's like an open source toolkit to create like cooperatives for NFT artists. So they share the revenue and automatically with different contracts. And it's weird because we started on Near blockchain just because I guess we took part in a hackathon a couple of years ago and just for fun, and then we won the hackathon. So okay, let's build something. And then they gave us some grants, but really they are not a good like place for NFT artists. So it doesn't make sense to build there because the artists are not there. And then a lot of artists were on Tezos blockchain. So we also built a little bit on Tezos. And we didn't get any grants. We just did this funny crowdfunding thing there. And it had like a dev, Tezos dev that is just, oh, I just want to, build this for fun. But also it was not like enough, I don't know, enough resources and momentum. So I said, okay, let's try to do on, EVM chains. And then I started applying for different grants and crowd funding stuff like Give It, Gitcoin, trying to get that going. But then we would get really little money. It was not enough to, have like a dev wanting to build for us. So we got kind of like stuck so far. And now actually we are going to take part in this round by Artisan. I don't know. It's I think tomorrow. They have this curation process. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. And people actually just vote. Like they don't even need the wallet. I think they just connect their their email or phone number. So we did get a lot of votes because apparently a lot of artists are on Artisan and they know us because the members of the DAO are all artists that are kind of known a little bit, not super famous, but enough. So we did get a lot of votes, and then they have all this match funding that goes with this round. So I don't know. I never been into the Artisan round, so it's gonna start soon, TM at some point. Like I guess tomorrow they figured this short list, and basically it's just like 1/3 of the projects that apply that are most voted by this not so Web3 but kind of system. Then they go on to the match funding, and it's not quadratic, it's actually logarithmic. So that means that they pretty much distribute much more evenly the funds. So what happened with us is we would go to, let's say, Gitcoin open source, and even though we got a lot of people, a lot of votes, etc., because huge projects will be there with thousands and thousands of people contributing, will be at the end of the tail, and that will be at $50, right? So let's see how that will work out for Artisan. And for Octant, I don't know. Like, I'm still thinking if it's worth it, and I don't know. For example, I don't know who are. I know there's only like 500 wallets that locked the GLM and want to support projects, and I'm actually one of them, but I only have like the very small amount. So I go and vote on every epoch, but I don't know even who are these whales I should be befriending. I
Right.
just spent yesterday like on the Octant Dune, trying to figure out who these wallets are, to see if it makes sense, because maybe they never heard of us and we're just this tiny DAO that not going to get any votes, and I go through all this process for getting 50. I guess you get nothing actually, to get nothing. So yeah.
I can throw in a couple of thoughts on that. I've been working with the Octant group recently, trying to help improve their process. So a couple of points I wanted to call out is they've recently just switched to a quadratic method. And so it means that everyone who gets approved gets funding. It's not, there's, previously, if you didn't get enough votes, you got zero. But after the last round and moving forward, everybody who gets approved and gets votes will get some amount of funding. So there's no zero risk at that point once you get in, if you get votes. So hopefully that'll start to work towards improving it. But they are looking at, this is just like stage one. Octant's working really hard to fix these problems that you guys have been identifying, because they are very real problems. And also in terms of the GLM, the whales that hold tokens that you're talking about, like, they don't even know who a lot of them are either. That's one of the biggest problems with their system. That's actually why I'm working with them, because we're trying to help devise a better system that doesn't rely on just GLM. But it's going to take a long time to get there. So in the meantime, I would say that the value of applying to Octant now is less about the money that you might get in the first round that you apply. Just like was being spoken about in this whole call, you have to kind of grind your way into it a bit and to get that exposure. So applying now gives you a better chance at taking advantage of the improvements that they roll out in the future. So future rounds hopefully will keep getting better and better. So yeah, it is kind of frustrating. Maybe it is better to just wait until some of these improvements come out, because it might help you see the value in going through that time and effort to apply, because it is really frustrating to put in all that work and then get nothing out of it. But I just wanted to kind of express that part, that Octant is working to address these issues. They're very, very much so aware that the GLM whales are a huge issue, and there's a big barrier to entry for new projects. So hopefully we will be able to see improvements in the subsequent rounds coming up.
Oh, but that's it's actually hardening to know that now there's no like zero option anymore. That's already like an improvement. So I'll get the $50 instead. I'm kidding, but who knows, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I would say that, even if you do only get $50 in the first round, if you apply again the next round, it has, and this is one of the notes that I wrote down from listening to you guys talk, is like, what do you do with small amounts of money that can't actually be productive? And how do you use that small amount of money to demonstrate your ability to follow through, right? And applying for multiple rounds in a row, even if you're not getting very much money, is one way of demonstrating that ability to follow through, that stands out. If people keep seeing your project time and time again, there's a tipping point, right? The first time they see it, they're like, I don't have time to look into that. I'm just going to vote for the ones I know. The second time they see it, they're going to go, oh, I've seen this one before. I was kind of interested, but I didn't have time. Maybe I'll look into it this time, or maybe it takes 3 times to see it. But the more you get that exposure to people, the more likely they are to look into your project.
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, actually, I was kind of surprised because I've been like voting in Octant since their first epoch, and the last one I saw that because like I said, I'm a tiny. I look at the dune and I'm like the X small or something. And then I was in how to say, like, surprised that my impact was 3,000 times the amount I locked into the projects that I voted for. So because I guess it compounds or something. I don't know if they're going to keep doing that or what. But
Yeah.
I felt good. It felt good that even though, like, I do a lot of symbolic stuff because, like I said, I'm like a very small bag holder, but I really like to be involved in different things just to feel like I'm being part of it because it's on chain. So I feel like, okay, I have this, even though I voted, let's say, with my tiny bag, I put my voice out there. So this is kind of why I participate in these votes. And then this time I felt like, oh, I actually had an impact. So it felt good for a change. So
Yeah, that's really great feedback. I'm so glad you shared that. They are definitely, that was one of the first steps towards moving in this direction of making things more meaningful for people that are engaged. The fact that you've been involved from the beginning is exactly why you have that massive multiplier, because we're starting to keep track of like you could call it reputation, right? Like that's the goal we're working towards, is how to establish on-chain reputation for committed builders. And you found a perfect example of the first step of that is if you've been involved since the beginning, you have more of a say because you probably have more understanding of the ecosystem. So I really appreciate that feedback. It's very helpful.
Okay, cool. Okay, maybe you're actually, it's funny because just before you spoke, and I guess like we're talking about proving all the metrics and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I'm not doing this. But now after talking to you, actually, I think I might apply. Let's see. Tomorrow, I guess, the last day. So let's see. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I would love to see your project on there, and I will put whatever support I can behind it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'm very loud, so if I know where your project is, I will.
Okay. So
point to it.
so our DAO is a stateless DAO, and our toolkit is called Co2, the cooperative tools. So yeah, so I guess I have to see like what's going to be the title, and we have this like weird like accented character on it that was causes trouble with URLs and stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to throw it there or not. And I think our website is statelessart.org. I can put in the chat. I forgot if it's .org or .net. I don't even remember my own website. Did it work, the link?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Lenara, this is super cool because I don't know if you saw the Zora update. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, like it'd be cool just to know that you can take the learnings from Dada and your experience as a artist. I feel like this is super super meaningful right now. Yeah, there's so many new artists that are going onto like Zora, and these like really like treating art as like content instead of art. And then yeah, I just really appreciate this.
Yeah, it's kind of like a super interesting developing. We've been talking a lot about it, like what it means, like between us, the artists, like this kind of new models, what Zora is putting out, kind of thing, and yeah, and how what kind of, I don't know, like how the scene is changing and what collectors are doing. It's kind of like changing a lot. So we're also rethinking how we can plug in our tools into this kind of new scene. I don't know how to call it, what's going on right now. So we've been discussing that a lot, how to do that.
Do you mind if I share the website with some people?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Oh.
We might do like I was thinking like we've just been talking between us, but we might do some kind of like call, like open call with more artists because actually we need that. Like this is gonna be the next step. Like open this much to more people to see how the artists are feeling about it. So that's probably gonna happen soon.
Yeah. Do you mind, Lenore, if I invite you to the Chones Telegram channel? And if you want to share these things, we can try and support and help amplify.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Man, I have to say on a meta level, this has happened a couple times with Local DAO Summer where I'm like looking at the title and I'm like, oh, it's Hen, but like I already know everything there is to know, and then I just have like a complete like like yeah, just a phase shift, like total change in knowledge. So I really appreciate this call.
Yeah, me too. We had Triggs here, which I was like, woo. And then Diogo has so much experience. Like he's been hacking, grants for a while. Yeah.
But just the framework of thinking about like flows of revenue as associated with mimetic communities is like, for some reason that frame has eluded me, and it's just like very clear now, and it's great.
I'm putting a link, Lenara, in the chat for another project. It's a music-oriented co-op. It was started by Austin Roby. He is he's very inspirational to me as somebody who's been deeply involved in the co-op space and is also translating that into kind of the Web3 space. So there could be a lot of crossover in terms of just the co-op structure that you guys are working on.
Perfect. Thank you.
But he made sure to emphasize that it's no crypto bullshit. I actually hit Austin up to talk for the Labor Week and Local DAO Summer, and I mean I respect him sort of making this move, but he's trying to distance himself from the crypto space at large and just like not involving himself with any crypto stuff. It seemed like, but I mean they're doing
That's fair. I think I respect that as well. I appreciate you pointing that out. Yeah, there's just in the structure of like how to move co-ops into the new digital space, whether it's Web3 or not. I think it really, doesn't matter. It's more about the human coordination elements and how do artists, connect with each other. So there's value in that, but yeah, very much so. Less on the Web3 side for sure.
No, yeah, I mean, but 1000%. Like, I mean, that's sort of a mission of mine is to build a broader sense of what like the values are here, beyond just like using cryptographic ledgers. And I think Austin, what he's doing is really, really important in that way.
I actually had a heart-to-heart with him at Earth Commons. He's like, how is it going? I'm like, I don't know if we're the good guys anymore. Yeah, he was the right person for that conversation. Thank you, everyone. We've been on here for a bit. Obviously, if you need anything from me, just let me know.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. It was great. I really enjoyed listening. It was really fun for me to get to be able to hear people's struggles and insights as applicants to the process, because there's a huge disconnect between you guys covered it all in the space, but it was really good. I really appreciated it, and thank you for putting all the work into it.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for being here too and hearing us. Yeah. There's a lot of information about how to better manage funds, but like it's harder to find information to better support projects. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording.